Hey there, friends and family, it's Jason Colbert, the colorist artist. So very recently, my phenomenal, talented wife had told me to rub some Mod Podge on this right here as a protective sealer to block the oil paint from staining the palette itself. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scrape all of my paint off of the palette, clean it, and then add the protective sealer with acrylic clear gel medium. What that's going to do is going to seep deep into the wood to make sure that when I add the oil on top of it, it doesn't stain the wood and keep the discoloration that I'm not really looking for. So let's clean off the palette. So as I said before, I actually clean the palette off. I must first carefully scrape all of the excess oil off of my palette. So as you can see, I'm using one of my favorite palette knives, and this right here is from the company called Maiden. I found this company on TikTok, and I must say that I am in love with the merchandise that they provide. The palette that I actually have right now is from Maiden as well. So as I'm carefully scraping everything off, I want to make sure that I'm able to clean the palette without any type of leftover residue from the paint itself. So now I'm going to use my paint thinner and it's going to get to work to cleaning off everything. Now words cannot describe how excited I am to actually add everything on top of this palette so I can get that smooth finish, glossy look, the effect that I really want on this palette. So when I'm able to put all of my oil paint on top of the palette, it doesn't stick, it doesn't discoloration, it doesn't change the color of it, nor does it ruin the palette like my previous paint palettes that I've had in the past. Now, majority of every wooden paint palette I've ever had, I've ruined it with oil paint. Alright, so as you can see, the palette is done. Now, it's not completely clean like I want it to be. However, it's clean enough for me to add acrylic clear gloss medium. And after I add that, I'm going to add my acrylic finish gloss varnish. Now, I am beyond excited to add these two on top of it. So, let's add them. And we're going to add it with, it's going to be, of course, some of my favorite brushes so far is going to be from me. So first thing first, let's add the acrylic gel medium. What that's going to do is going to add a thick protective layer on top of it. Just look how smooth it goes on. Then second, let's add the varnish. Now on the liquid varnish, I really want to make sure that I spread it evenly, and I did multiple coats just to give it that gloss effect that I'm really looking for. Like I said, you really want to make this as glossy as you possibly can. Now, let's do the light check. And boom, as you can see, it has a protective shield on top of it to make sure that the oil paint does not stain the paint palette, because like I said, I have ruined a lot of paint palettes in the past. And after we got done doing all of that, let's carefully apply all of the paint back on top of it so we can get back to work. And man, I must say that I am excited. As you can see, this method works perfectly, and I strongly suggest any artist out there with a wooden paint palette to use a varnish or Mod Podge to cover their wooden palette to make sure that you're able to protect it from any type of coloration or oil paint. So this is Jason Colbert, the colorism artist, and thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that this art tip helps, and I'll see you in the next video.